Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And as expected here in Modern Warfare 2, the Gentleman's Agreement Chaos is just kicking off. Loads of weapons gone as of last night. The Fennec, SMG, the AUG, AR, and some now even want the Vaznev gone as well. And Dashy even mentioning that the hotel map will be played in Major 1, but not after that. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thanks very much indeed for doing that one. Firstly, this from Elevate confirming their roster for the upcoming season. Denza, Gizmo, Harry, and Vortex with Cynical and Rokkr being analyst, coach, that type of stuff. Cool team. They actually won the Breaking Point Next tournament last night in pretty dominant fashion, actually. So thanks to all those of you who tuned in last night. It was a great broadcast. Had a lot of fun. And tonight it's going to be even bigger and better in the North American side over at the Breaking Point YouTube channel, the Boston Breach Twitch. Doug is playing. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic evening, I am sure. And even aBeZy got the MVP of the tournament, and he was dropping like crazy numbers here with the M4. Actually, I thought it was kind of interesting just watching the meta last night, because some people were using this AUG, which has now been banned, but actually the M4 with certain attachments also looks pretty ridiculous. So I don't know what's going to happen, whether we're going to end up again with an M4 MP5 meta, because I must say I'm kind of surprised that the Lachman SMG, which is basically the MP5 right from previous games, is not used in this game. Yes, the Vaznev is pretty much up there with the best SMG and also has lower recoil, but you know, the Lachman, I think exclusive Aces said, is pretty much up there with the best SMG in the game. So, you know, I'm surprised that more pros haven't given it a go yet, and maybe the Vaznev is going to be GA'd as well in due course as well. We'll see that here in a couple of seconds time. This I thought was pretty funny from Crim. Did a cool video looking at, you know, Modern Warfare pro tips with Crim 6 for, you know, you need these settings, and this guy says, you know, thanks, but I'll listen to the pros. Kind of sad stuff, but poor Crim, 3-time world champion, 38-time event winner, but yeah, not a pro any longer, and he's kind of upset about it. To 10,000 likes. I thought that was kind of funny, to be honest. But let's talk about this GA shenanigans. So the Fennec is basically the Vector. Honestly, like, I really love the iron sight to the Vector. It's kind of a shame that this gun is going to get gone. And some people have said that, yes, the Fennec is very strong at point blank range, but outside of that, is it really that good? So I don't know. You guys, if you play with it, I'm sure you got a better idea whether you think the Fennec is too strong or not. But apparently it's been added to the NAGA list. Interesting in a way, just because, you know, the Vaznev is the only SMG that's used anyway. I guess in certain situations the Fennec is better. Some say it's kind of like the Scorpion, right? It's just good up close and then not good at any other ranges. But like, you know, would it mean that if the Fennec was allowed, would you only see the Fennec being used? I mean, we saw back in Black Ops 3, right, when the Vespa was incredibly strong for a brief period of time, and that was the high fire rate, kind of higher recoil SMG. But you know, there was one time when it didn't really have that much recoil and you could kind of map people with it, and it was the only weapon that was used. Eventually it was GA'd, then it was nerfed, then it was unnerfed, then it was nerfed again, and it didn't really get used any longer, and the VMP kind of took over. But weapons in that category are always kind of exciting to me, because it's a weapon that it probably isn't going to be a meta gun, but can get pulled out on certain maps, certain hardpoint rotations to good effect. So I'm kind of ashamed this is gone. Maybe it's justified, but you know, I just think, and look, at the end of the day, the pros need to GA stuff. I know that every year we talk about, wow, the pros should just play the game out of the box. Even Clay, I think, agrees this year that some of this stuff should be GA'd, and he's been one of the most out of the box guys we have seen. We know that Infinity Ward haven't done the best job balancing this game. I don't blame the pros trying to get rid of stuff here and there to make it work better. But whether this gun should be gone, that's a question to me, because if it's one of these niche weapons that can only be viable in certain hardpoint rotations, certain situations, and then it's getting banned anyway, it's like, it's kind of unfortunate, because the Vaznev's probably going to be used. If the Fennec was allowed, would we see everyone use a Fennec? Probably not. It might be a couple of Vaznevs, one Fennec, I don't know, maybe in certain situations. But anyway, the Fennec is probably going to be gone. That's the Vector type weapon, and the STB, which is basically the AUG from previous Call of Duty games, is also going to be gone. This clip here from Clay last night, where Donny Temp pulls it out, gets a nice two-piece, and then Clay says, no, we GA'd that, you can't use that any longer. We decided earlier on today, and this also we saw in the kind of the Breaking Point Next tourney as well. Some were using it. As the tournament progressed, people kind of went away from it, and it's an interesting one, because it seems like it should be kind of like the flex hybrid type weapon. It seems a bit faster than the M4, but is still very powerful and absolutely melts people, to be honest. But and yeah, Donny Temp gets this two-piece here, and then Clay's like, yo, you can't use that gun anymore. It's got GA'd, unfortunately. So the AUG is also gone. But I think over the last couple of days, we've heard rumors and we've heard rumblings from the pros that they were looking to get the AUG and the Fennec out of there and have a more straightforward meta.
Left side of hill, one shot, man. Laying down. Nice shot. What the f? We GA'd this, by the way. We GA'd that done.
GA done.
Wait, GA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just happened today. Yeah, you're muted.
So that's where the conversation really kicks off though, because when this game first came out, there was a lot of questions over what SMG was going to be used. There was the Kastov 74U that was clearly too strong, and that was then banned by the pros. And then after that, people started using the Vaznev, but there was still the Lachman. I think it's a question to me whether the MP5, the Lachman, gets used, because, I mean, that seems like a gun that should definitely be viable, at least from my perspective. Maybe it has more recoil than the Vaznev, but the thing is, the recoil in this game, it does exist, but a lot of the time it's visual recoil, I think, and actually the gun shoots pretty straight. It just looks like it's recoiling, so I don't know. Obviously, Scump got this nice little 4-piece against Boston last night in scrims with the Vaznev itself, and it does kill very fast, the Vaznev, but I think the Lachman's also viable. It'd be kind of unfortunate if we get again into a 2-weapon meta. Feels like that's what the pros are going for. I understand it, but, you know, getting rid of the Orc, getting rid of the Fennec, is it really necessary to make the game play as best as it can? We saw back in Modern Warfare, originally, it was just M4, MP5. All year, that's all the guns we saw, apart from towards the end, the Ram 7, and even the Uzi became viable, but, you know, over the course of the year, it was pretty much a 2-weapon meta. The pros that might be targeting something like that again. The question I have is, again, over the SMGs, because Slasher, an AR player, says, that sub looks kind of good with the Vaznev that Scump was just shooting, right? So is there more to come on this? They've already, 1 week into the game, got rid of the Kastov 74U, the Org is gone, the Fennec is now gone. We pretty much have one viable SMG and one viable AR, at least in the pros' minds. Now, I think the pros often are relatively slow to adapt. Like, there might be a more viable AR out there, there might be, as I say, a more viable SMG out there. The pros aren't using it yet. But, you know, Slasher reckons even the Vaznev could be gone. So, I don't know what they're going to end up playing this season. The snipers, we don't know if they're going to be there. Look, we understand the pros have to deal with these difficult situations, finding a balanced thing, but often what happens is the pros, like, you know, they GA one thing and then they think, you know what, let's just keep on going and get rid of everything. Now, I don't honestly mind too much if there are a couple of viable ARs and they actually get rid of some of the weapons that are stronger than the others, right? That's been one of the key points from Rambo, that, like, why don't we just GA a lot of the powerful guns and then we just have to use the weaker ones? Like, the Scar assault rifle actually isn't that strong, all things considered. I think we saw it a fair bit over the last few days. I think people are gravitating now towards the M4 a little bit more because they think it's the better weapon. But what if, you know, what if there's a world in which the Scar and the M4 can both be viable and used, and there's, you know, kind of a more of a flex or a faster AR gun, and there's a slower AR gun, and then just one SMG that's generally used, or maybe one player uses the Lachman, one player uses the Vaznev. I don't know. There might be a world in which, because all these guns are pretty powerful, we can get more than a 2-weapon meta, but probably that's what they're going to gravitate towards. And even some of the SMGs are getting frustrated now with the ARs. Bance says this, just a poor Vaznev living in an AR's world. And as Slasher says, get rid of this M4, bro. It's not fun to use the Merc 4 grip. Both ARs that you can use as a better SMG than the Vaznev have been GA'd. So sad, man, right? So pretty interesting that he says, as an SMG, if you want to use the AUG or the 74U that were kind of like SMG hybrids, you now can't use those anymore and they've been GA'd. So he reckons that they're a bit of a disadvantage. And even Slasher saying, well, maybe get rid of the M4, just use the Scar. So it's an absolute mess, as you guys can tell, on what's going to be used. We're only week 1 into the game and already there's all this stuff happening, and I'm sure Treyarch is trying to develop this ranked play mode. I figured, dab, we're going to have a lot of things to ban in the rule set if the pros aren't using it, because you want ranked play to be the same thing that the pros play, but it might be a rather different game to the base version if all this stuff has been GA'd in just week 1. Not exactly a massive surprise though. Now, speaking of things, other things that are going to be banned, not just for the reasons of the pros deciding to, but for other reasons, thanks Infinity One and Joe Seacard, is this hotel map. Honestly, so far, one of the best maps I think to watch, not only for Search and Destroy, but also for Hardpoint, and I don't know if they play Control in it, maybe not, but still a great map. Now, Dashy mentioned, I think they're actually playing Control in this scrim, so I guess that answers that question. But anyway, Dashy was mentioning in this clip here that this hotel map is probably going to be gone after Major 1. We've heard rumors that this map and the hotel itself, the Hotel Conservatorium or whatever in Amsterdam, it's literally a copy and paste. It's funny really because they didn't even pretend it wasn't a hotel. Like, I was looking on this map yesterday and it even says Amsterdam on the walls in places. Like, they didn't even try and pretend that it wasn't where it actually is. And the people who run the real hotel that is not called the Breenberg, it's called the Conservatorium, they're not so happy about their hotel being used for a location in a game without their permission. Kind of makes sense, to be honest. So we think that it's going to get removed at some point. We think the Crown Raceway map might not get used either. That's almost certainly gone. The museum map already got removed for similar reasons. The hotel map seems to be sticking around for now, but Dashy reckons after Major 1, it's chalked.
I think I have a switch. We're up, Daddy.
Wait till we're off broadcast.
Yeah, we can talk about this, man.
She does play good. I'm not capping.
Up, Daddy.
Too bad we can't play it after the first match. We just try.
So this is an absolute disaster class, obviously, from Infinity Ward. I'm hoping they can maybe figure something out so they can actually use this going forwards. But they're running into some legal issues here, which is just absolutely incredible this could even be the case. 3 of the maps in this game run into these issues. 3 of the better maps, to be honest. And the laziness, honestly, from the developers to just copy it based on real-life location rather than trying to make a new one or get inspired by the architecture or whatever just boggles the mind. So, look, at least, hopefully, it'll get played in Major 1. I don't really know why, if there's some serious issues here, why it's going to get played in Major 1 this time next month, really in December, as opposed to in Major 2, which starts in, I guess, late January or mid-January or whatever. So not sure why the situation is there, but it does raise some serious concerns about what our map pool is looking like this year, because if Hotel is gone, then what else do we have? We don't have much, and we really need, by the time Major 2 comes around, if that is the case and Dashy is correct, to have some more maps added, because right now the map pool is thin on the ground. It would honestly, like this game, if these maps that are getting removed, like Crown Raceway and the hotel map and even museum potentially viable, if they weren't getting removed, I think this is probably like the best launch of a game in terms of maps and everything that we've had in the CDL era, apart from Cold War. Cold War is an exception, it's a track game, but considering Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2019 and this game, I think this is the best of the 3 if those maps are allowed. Without those maps though, we now look like we're going to have to play this one, which is the Zarqua or whatever it's called, hydroelectric map. This is, to me, the clip of the year so far. Doug St. Martin is trying to shoot at methods here. His gun won't operate because I guess he's underwater. Realism, baby. Then he tries to chuck a Semtex at him, and the Semtex, of course, gets caught in the water, right? And then he absolutely, well, he blows himself up to the grenade. So, fantastic clip here from Doug St. Martin, and just vintage stuff. There, of course, it's the Boston Academy playing the Boston main team, but this is just, like, this is clip of the year to me so far. And Josh's kind of laugh in the background was funny. I'll share it for you guys at the end of the video. But, you know, what that then means is, if we have to play that map with the water on, that map, honestly, the hydroelectric map could be good without all the water, I think. But it's a hydroelectric map. They kind of have to do the water. That's kind of the thing. So that's what they're playing right now. They're trialing that map right now, the pros, because what else can they do? Bance is not happy with Embassy as well. He thinks the spawns are terrible. Envoy agrees. Can't deal with spawning mid-map all year. Yeah, neither, man. If only I was a man AR, I could be in the rep chat to make the decisions. So these are the maps that are currently being played, just based on some scrims that were going down last night. Vegas played FaZe. It was 5-4 to FaZe, actually. So impressive stuff, I think, from Vegas so far. And they actually won the majority of hardpoints here. One of them was 250-249. Fortress is, man, this map is tough to break. It's tough to watch at times. But Fortress, Hotel, Embassy, Mercado, and Zarqua, those are the maps that are currently being played by the pros. And then in Control, it's very different. They played the Zarqua one, the aBeZy one, Farm 18, and Hotel. They're trying in Control right now. So the hardpoint maps look like this. There are 5 that may be viable. Some people don't like Embassy. Some people don't like Fortress. Some people don't like Mercado. And I don't really know if this hydroelectric map is actually going to be any good or not. But they're trying to give it a go, because what else can they realistically do? There are very few other options, right, with the Crown Raceway and everything getting removed. So it's kind of sad to me, because I actually think we could have been in with a decent release this year if we actually had a decent map set. But unfortunately, this is what we've got. And, you know, you can consider Embassy, if that's terrible and some pros want it removed, we kind of have like 3 hardpoint maps, and then we might have 2 hardpoint maps with no hotel. So we really desperately need something to arrive over this coming month, really, with Season 1 Reloaded, whatever, because the pros need something additional to play on, because otherwise it's going to be a disastrous few months for the map set this season, which is so much worse than it could have been. I do still think this game has a fair bit of potential, though, and with time, especially year 2, when they add all the new maps, it should be fantastic. But like at year 1, it might be a bit of a struggle for these pros. Quick couple of things to mention on scrims before we close out. Rokkr destroyed London here. To be honest, in scrim results, Rokkr have arguably been looking the best that I've seen so far. I think this might have been London's first day probably scrimming, though, but still 8-0 for Rokkr on apparently a quad London host. That's not so ideal. And even this, 5-1 to Rokkr over Florida in this particular set of scrims on those 5 maps we just mentioned. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new as always. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Any swimmers?
Wait, am I faded? No, it's a fish. I saw a fish.
Wait,
no, he's in the water still. I can't shoot him.
Kill one, Zinny, kill him, bro. Get him one team, bro.
That's going on Twitter.